Welcome to Limitless Mindset. If you're hearing this right now, it's not by accident. You're here because something inside you is ready to grow, ready to rise, ready to break limits. This is not just motivation. This is your reminder that you are capable of more. So take a deep breath, focus your mind, open your heart. Let's begin. The sun does not know your name. It rises every morning without asking how you feel. It doesn't care if you slept well or didn't sleep at all. It doesn't care if yesterday you made progress or wasted every hour drowning in regret. The sun rises. The clock moves. Days pile up on top of each other. And none of it waits. Time is moving right now at this exact second. The question is not whether that is fair. The question is what you are doing while it moves. Because here is a truth most people avoid. Weak men argue with time. Strong men work with it. That difference, small on the surface, is everything. It is the line between people who build lives and people who spend decades explaining why they didn't. Complaining looks like effort, but it isn't. Complaining is standing at the bottom of a mountain, staring at the peak, and using all your energy describing how steep it is instead of taking the first step. Complaining is wanting success badly enough to talk about it, but not badly enough to suffer for it. It is when your mouth becomes stronger than your legs, and the world is full of people like this. People who can explain their failure in perfect detail. People who know exactly who is to blame. People who have rehearsed their excuses so well that it sounds like wisdom. That is the tragedy, not failure itself. Failure is normal. Failure is part of growth. The tragedy is mastering excuses instead of mastering yourself. Life is not a courtroom. You don't get to present evidence. You don't receive sympathy points. You are not compensated for difficulty. Yes, some people started behind. Yes, some roads were unfair. Yes, some battles were heavier than others. But here is the principle. Strong people learn early and never forget. Only effort responds to effort. Not your story, not your explanation, not your reasons. Your decisions move your life forward, nothing else. Complaining is dangerous because it feels like action. You talk, you feel emotion. Energy moves in your chest, and your brain thinks something is happening. But nothing changed. No step was taken. No structure was built. No discipline was formed. Complaining is a fake version of progress. It gives you relief without results. And once someone gets comfortable with that fake progress, real effort feels unbearable because real effort costs something. Real effort requires honesty. It requires admitting that some of what went wrong is on you. It requires accountability. And accountability is what weak people run from. Look at the people you truly respect, not the lucky ones, not the ones handed everything. Look at the ones who built something real, the ones who went through pressure and came out standing. Ask yourself how much time they spent complaining. You already know the answer. They stopped talking about what was wrong and started deciding what needed to be done next. That shift from narrating the problem to attacking it is the shift from weak to strong. It doesn't happen in one dramatic moment. It happens every morning. Every morning you choose. Will I talk today or will I move? Think of yourself like a blade. A blade does not become sharp by resting. It becomes sharp through fire, pressure, resistance. You are the blade. Every disappointment, every setback, every empty bank account, every year that didn't go as planned, that was the forge. The question is not whether you went through fire. The question is whether you let it shape you or whether you stood near it complaining about the heat. Both are possible. You can walk through hell and come out stronger. Or you can walk through hell and come out with nothing but a story. The men who became stronger made a decision, sometimes without words, sometimes deep in their gut, that hardship would build them, not define them. That same decision is available to you right now. Think about the people you know who never became what they could have been. Not the ones who truly ran out of time, the ones who turned away. What filled their conversations? Complaints, blame, stories about what was taken from them. And where are they now? Exactly where the complaint left them. Complaining is comfortable. It asks nothing. It requires no risk, no honesty, no courage. So people choose it once, then again, then every day, until days become years and years become a life. Here is something most people never tell you. Complaining spreads. Your response to hardship teaches everyone watching you how to respond to hardship. Your children, your family, the people around you. Do they see someone who figures it out, or someone who turns pain into noise? Those two men build very different futures. Hard times create strong people. Strong people create easier times. Easy times create weak people. Weak people create hard times. That cycle has shaped history. Difficulty is asking you one question. Will you grow or will you talk? The complaining person always has reasons, and many of them are real. But being right about why things were unfair does not give you your time back. It does not build the life you could have built. You can be right and still lose. Life rewards solutions, not explanations. Every person reaches a moment where a quiet voice asks, "What are you going to do about it?" Not who are you going to blame. Not what are, and the real truth is this. The sun is not your enemy. Time is not against you, it is neutral. It will either expose your excuses or amplify your effort. Every sunrise is an opportunity disguised as indifference. It does not care who you were yesterday. It does not ask whether you failed. It does not slow down because you feel unprepared. It simply arrives, and when it arrives, it asks one silent question: who are you going to be today? Because the man you become is not built in grand moments. He is built in ordinary mornings. The alarm goes off. Your body is tired. Your mind begins negotiating. Just 5 more minutes. Today doesn't really matter. I'll start tomorrow. That is the battlefield, not in public, not in front of applause, in that quiet space between comfort and commitment. And every time you choose comfort, you reinforce weakness. Every time you choose action, you reinforce strength. It is never dramatic. It is never cinematic. It is quiet. The strongest men in history were not strong because they never doubted. They were strong because doubt did not decide for them. There will be days when progress is invisible. Days when the effort feels wasted. Days when the results do not match the work. Those are the most important days because that is where character is formed. Anybody can move when they feel motivated. Anybody can work when they are inspired. Anybody can push when the reward is immediate, but the man who continues when nothing is guaranteed, that man becomes unshakable. You must understand something: your habits are voting every day for the type of man you will become. When you complain, you cast a vote for weakness. When you act, you cast a vote for strength, and votes add up, not overnight, but over time. You don't wake up one day strong. You wake up one day realizing you have been strong for a while. The same is true for weakness. Nobody becomes average in a single moment. They become average through repeated comfort. You cannot afford repeated comfort. There is a version of you 5 years from now. He exists, he is real, he is either disciplined or disappointed. He is either grateful or resentful. He is either living in something you built or trapped in something you tolerated. And he is shaped by what you do today. The difference between the two futures is not luck. It is daily behavior. You say you want more money, more impact, more respect, more freedom, but more requires more from you. More focus, more sacrifice, more honesty, more effort when it would be easier to quit. The uncomfortable truth is that most people do not fail. They fail because they are inconsistent. They start strong. They fade quietly. Strong men are not perfect. They are persistent. They show up again and again and again, even after embarrassment, even after rejection, even after silence, especially after silence, because silence is the test. When no one is clapping, when no one is noticing, when no one is validating the effort, that is where belief becomes real. Belief is not loud. Belief is discipline in motion. It is waking up and doing the work when the emotional high is gone. It is refusing to let yesterday's failure become today's excuse. It is understanding that progress is often invisible. Until it is undeniable, you are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are not too late, but you are responsible. Responsible for your standards, responsible for your direction, and responsibility is power. The moment you stop blaming and start owning, everything shifts. Because ownership creates control. And control creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. And confidence built on action, not talk, is unbreakable. Will always be reasons to wait. More money, more clarity, more support, more certainty. But certainty is earned through movement. Clarity is found in action. Courage grows when used. The man who waits for perfect conditions builds nothing. The man who builds, despite imperfect conditions, becomes unstoppable. So when the sun rises tomorrow, and it will, do not negotiate, do not narrate, do not explain, move, take one step, then another dot, not for applause, not for validation, not to prove anyone wrong, but because you refuse to waste another day explaining a life you could be building. The clock is still moving. The days are still stacking. The question has not changed. What are you going to do with the time? What are you going to do with the time? Because time is the only currency you spend, whether you want to or not. You spend it when you move, and you spend it when you hesitate. You spend it when you build, and you spend it when you complain. The difference is simple. One investment grows, the other disappears. Too many people live as if time is renewable, as if another year will magically appear when this one is gone, as if the opportunities that passed will patiently wait for them to feel ready. But life doesn't work that way, Dot. Every sunrise is a door that opens once. Every sunset is a door that closes forever. And somewhere between those two moments, your future is quietly being built. Not through what you say, not through what you intend. Through what you do, you want a different life. Then your actions must become different. The world does not reward good intentions. It rewards consistent effort. There are people with less talent than you who are succeeding right now. People with fewer resources. People with fewer advantages. Do you know why? Because they started. They didn't wait for the perfect moment. They didn't wait for approval. They didn't wait until their fear disappeared. They simply began. And beginning is the hardest part for most people. Starting requires courage. Continuing requires discipline. But finishing requires identity. You must become the kind of person who does not stop, not when it gets boring, not when progress slows down, not when people doubt you. Because the truth is, doubt will always exist. Some people will doubt you out loud, some will doubt you silently, and sometimes the loudest doubt will come from inside your own mind. That voice that whispers, maybe you're not good enough, maybe it's too late, maybe this isn't meant for you. Everyone hears that voice. The difference between the weak and the strong is simple. Weak men listen. Strong men move anyway. Understand something powerful. Confidence is not built before action. Confidence is built because of action. Every time you show up when you didn't want to, every time you keep going when it gets uncomfortable, every time you refuse to quit when quitting would be easy, you are building something inside yourself. Something invisible, something powerful, self-respect, and self-respect is the foundation of greatness. Because once a man respects himself, he stops accepting less than he is capable of. He stops wasting hours. He stops tolerating laziness. He stops negotiating with his potential. He begins demanding more from himself, more discipline, more focus, more commitment, and that demand changes everything, because the world reflects the standards you set for yourself. If you expect little, life will give you little. But when you raise your standards, when you refuse to live an average life, something shifts. Your habits change. Your environment changes. Your future changes not overnight, but inevitably, every strong life is built the same way. Small actions, repeated consistently, over long periods of time. There is no shortcut there. Is no secret path that avoids the work. There is only the decision to begin, and the courage to continue. That is why the quiet man working every day eventually surpasses the loud man talking about his plans. Because effort compounds. Every day you show up, you gain an edge. Every day you practice discipline, you gain momentum. Every day you refuse to quit, you become harder to stop. Most people never reach their potential, not because they lack ability, but because they abandon the process too early. They want results without repetition, want success without sacrifice. They want the reward without the responsibility. But the reward belongs to the person who stays, the person who keeps showing up, the person who keeps climbing even when the mountain seems endless. Remember something important. The mountain does not shrink, you grow. Every step makes you stronger. Every challenge makes you sharper. Every setback makes you wiser. And one day you will look back at the distance you have climbed and realized something powerful. You didn't become strong all at once. You became strong because you refused to stop. So, when the sun rises again tomorrow, and it will remember this somewhere in the world, another person will wake up and start working. Immediately, they will not wait for motivation. They will not wait for comfort. They will begin. The only question left is this: will you be one of them? Or will you spend another day explaining why you didn't? Because the clock is still moving. The sun is still rising, and your life is still waiting for the man who decides to build it, because nothing meaningful happens by accident. Great. Lives are not stumbled upon. They are constructed brick by brick, decision by decision. Day by day, most people spend their lives waiting for a breakthrough. But breakthroughs rarely come to those who wait. They come to those who prepare. Preparation is quiet. It is repetitive. It is often boring, but preparation is where power lives, while others are distracted. The prepared man is sharpening his skills. While others are complaining about their circumstances, the prepared man is strengthening his discipline. And when opportunity finally appears, because it always does eventually, the prepared man is ready. Everyone else calls it luck, but it was never luck. It was preparation meeting opportunity. That is how success actually works. Build yourself long before the world notices. You train yourself long before anyone believes in you. Struggle in silence long before anyone applauds you, and that silence can be difficult because human beings naturally crave recognition. We want someone to say we're doing well. We want someone to confirm we're on the right path. But the strongest people learn how to move without that validation. They become their own source of accountability. They wake up early, not because someone is watching, but because they refuse to disappoint themselves. They push harder, not because someone demands it, but because their standards demand it. And standards are powerful. A man with low standards will always find excuses. A man with high standards will always find a way. When you raise your standards, everything changes. The things you once tolerated become unacceptable. The habits that once felt normal begin to feel like obstacles. You start protecting your time, you start guarding your focus, you start choosing discipline over distraction, and slowly, quietly, your life begins to transform. Not because of one dramatic event, but because of hundreds of small choices. Made correctly, that is the part people rarely see. They see the results. They see the success. They see the moment when everything seems to come together, but they do not see the years of invisible effort that made that moment possible. The early mornings, the late nights, the moments when quitting would have been easier than continuing. Every strong life has those moments. Moments when nothing seems to be working, when the goal feels impossibly far away. Moments when doubt whispers that all this effort might be wasted. Those are the moments that define you, because anyone can continue when things are easy, but the person who continues when things are difficult becomes unstoppable. Difficulty is not your enemy. Difficulty is your training. It strengthens your patience. It sharpens your focus. It reveals your character. Without difficulty, you remain soft, and softness cannot carry heavy dreams. Your dreams require strength. They require endurance. They require a version of you that refuses to quit, even when the path becomes uncertain. That version of you already exists, but he only appears when you demand more from yourself, when you stop settling, when you stop accepting the easy road, when you start asking the question every strong person eventually asks: what am I truly capable of? That question changes everything, because once you ask it honestly, you cannot return to living below your potential. You begin to see wasted time. Differently, you begin to see excuses. Differently, you begin to see comfort as the enemy of growth. And slowly you become someone new, someone who moves with purpose, someone who values discipline, someone who understands that greatness is not a gift, it is a responsibility to your potential, a responsibility to the people who believe in you, responsibility to the future that is waiting for the person you are capable of becoming. And that future is closer than you think. Not because success happens suddenly, but because momentum builds faster than most people realize. When you show up every day, progress compounds. One skill becomes 2, One opportunity becomes many. One disciplined habit becomes a lifestyle. And eventually, people look at your life and say, "It happened so fast." But you know the truth. It didn't happen fast. It happened consistently. And consistency is the quiet superpower of the disciplined. So tomorrow morning, when the sun rises again, remember something simple. You do not need to change your entire life in one day. You only need to win the day in front of you. Show up, do the work, take one step forward, then tomorrow, take another dot. And if you repeat that process long enough, something incredible happens. The person you once imagined yourself becoming becomes the person you are. Not through luck, not through excuses, but through the quiet, relentless decision to keep building when others stopped trying. And that is the difference between the men who dream and the men who become.